3 episodes, one problem examined from 3 different angles. Today, we close the loop. Here are the 5 numbers that tell you everything and why your doctor has been ordering only one of them.
Over the last 3 episodes, we established that testosterone is not a single story. It is stolen by a protein called SHBG that rises with age and locks the hormone away. It is measured incorrectly by a standard test that reports total testosterone, the fraction that is mostly unavailable to your cells. And it is suppressed from the outside by endocrine-disrupting chemicals found in plastic, tap water, and personal care products, chemicals that also raise SHBG, compressing the system from both ends simultaneously. Everything we have discussed leads to one practical question. What should you actually measure? The answer is 5 markers, not 1, 5. And together, they do not just tell you your testosterone level, they tell you why it is where it is, and where in the system the problem originates. That distinction is everything.
Test number 1. Total testosterone. This is the number your doctor already orders, and it still belongs in the panel, but only as a baseline, not as a conclusion. The hospital reference range for total testosterone typically begins at 300 nanograms per deciliter. That means a result of 310 comes back flagged as normal. Functional medicine and longevity research operate with a different standard. According to a 2026 review of male hormone testing, optimal total testosterone for men generally falls in the upper third of the laboratory range, between 600 and 1,000 nanograms per deciliter. A result of 310 is not optimal. It is the floor. Total testosterone, your starting point. Useful, necessary, but on its own, almost meaningless without the 4 markers that follow. Test number 2. Free testosterone. This is the number that actually matters. Free testosterone is the unbound fraction, the 2 to 3% of total testosterone that is not locked to SHBG or albumin and can actually enter your cells and deliver its biological signal. The optimal range for free testosterone, based on clinical data from functional medicine panels, is generally considered to be above 15 to 20 picograms per milliliter. Standard lab ranges often accept values as low as 9 picograms per milliliter as normal. That gap between 9 and 15 is where most symptomatic men live. Normal on paper, functionally declining in real life. One important technical note. Free testosterone should ideally be measured by a method called equilibrium dialysis. This is the gold standard, accurate, reproducible, and clinically validated. Many labs use a calculated estimate instead, derived from a formula using total testosterone and SHBG. This calculated value introduces meaningful error margins. When you request your panel, ask specifically for free testosterone by equilibrium dialysis. It costs more. It is worth it.
Test number 3, SHBG, sex hormone binding globulin. We covered this in detail in episode 2, but in the context of the full panel, SHBG serves a specific diagnostic function. It tells you how much of your testosterone is being captured and whether that capture rate is increasing. The optimal SHBG range for men is approximately 20 to 40 nanomoles per liter. Values consistently above that range, which is the natural direction SHBG moves as men age, indicate that an increasing proportion of your testosterone is being rendered biologically inactive, even if total testosterone looks stable. SHBG is also the fingerprint of the endocrine disruptors we discussed in the last episode. Phthalate exposure, as confirmed in multiple 2025 studies, is associated with elevated SHBG, meaning the same chemicals suppressing your production are also increasing the protein that captures what survives. When your SHBG is high and your free testosterone is low, even with total testosterone in the normal range, that is not a coincidence. That is a mechanism.
Test number 4, estradiol. This is the marker most men have never considered and the one that explains symptoms that total testosterone alone never could. Testosterone and estrogen exist in a ratio inside your body. That ratio matters as much as the absolute levels. Testosterone converts to estradiol, the primary form of estrogen, via an enzyme called aromatase. Aromatase activity increases with age, with body fat, particularly visceral fat, and with endocrine-disrupting chemicals that interfere with the P450 enzyme pathways we discussed in the last episode. The result? As men age, more testosterone is being converted to estrogen, and less remains available in its original form. The clinical consequences of excess estradiol in men include fat accumulation around the chest and abdomen, reduced libido, emotional instability, and water retention. These are symptoms virtually identical to low testosterone. And here is the critical point. A man can have total testosterone of 600 nanograms per deciliter, technically optimal, and feel every symptom of hormonal decline because his estradiol is running too high and his testosterone to estrogen ratio is inverting. His testosterone test says he is fine. His estradiol test would tell the real story. The optimal estradiol range for men is generally considered to be between 20 and 30 picograms per milliliter. Values above 42 picograms per milliliter indicate excess aromatization that warrants clinical attention.
Test number 5, LH and FSH, luteinizing hormone and follicle-stimulating hormone. These are the upstream signals. Your hypothalamus sends a signal to your pituitary gland. Your pituitary responds by releasing LH and FSH. LH travels to your testes and instructs the Leydig cells to produce testosterone. FSH supports sperm production. This cascade, hypothalamus to pituitary to testes, is called the HPG axis, the hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis. And LH and FSH tell you where in that axis the problem lives. Scenario 1. Low testosterone, low LH. If your testosterone is low and your LH is also low, the problem is not in your testes. Your testes are waiting for a signal that is not arriving. The failure is upstream, in the pituitary or hypothalamus. This is called secondary hypogonadism. Scenario 2. Low testosterone, high LH. If your testosterone is low, but your LH is high, your brain is screaming at your testes to produce more testosterone, and your testes are not responding. The failure is in the testes themselves. This is called primary hypogonadism. Same symptom, completely different origin, completely different clinical approach. Without LH and FSH, you cannot distinguish between these two scenarios. A treatment that addresses one does nothing for the other and can actively make the other worse. Now let me bring the entire series together. Over 4 episodes, we have mapped the complete failure chain of male hormonal health after 35. The production failure. Testosterone synthesis is being suppressed by endocrine-disrupting chemicals, BPA, phthalates, and microplastics that interfere directly with Leydig cell function and reduce output at the source. The capture failure. What is produced is increasingly captured by SHBG, which rises with age and with chemical exposure, leaving less and less of the free fraction available to your cells. The conversion failure. What escapes SHBG is increasingly converted to estradiol by aromatase, driven by age, visceral fat, and the same chemical environment, inverting the testosterone to estrogen ratio and producing symptoms that look exactly like low testosterone. The measurement failure. Standard medicine looks at one number, total testosterone, and reports it against a range built for pathology detection, not performance optimization. The 5-marker panel we discussed today addresses all 4 failures simultaneously. This is the information your physician has access to. It exists in the research literature. It is simply not making its way into the standard appointment because the standard appointment was not designed to optimize. It was designed to intervene when something breaks completely. You are watching this channel because you do not want to wait for something to break. I have left a link in the description to the formulation I consider most aligned with supporting the mechanisms we have covered across this entire series. If these 4 episodes changed how you think about your own hormonal health, that link is the logical next step.